try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they see me. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression.
What up, Finn fans? Welcome to another episode of the Finn Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. How's everybody doing this morning? How is everyone doing this morning? Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Miller. How do I sound? Is the audio still good, or is the audio still good? Just want to make sure. Now I'm paranoid every day. Now I'm paranoid that the audio always sounds like crap. How we sounding this morning? Nice. That's what I'm talking about. So I hope everybody had a good Mother's Day. I hope that you got the special mothers in your life, something special, made them feel special yesterday. I tried my best with my wife, and my mother. We won't go into that conversation though. So, the Miami Dolphins concluded rookie mini camp yesterday. And listen, rookie mini camp isn't really about much. It's more off the field stuff, getting them prepared for their first NFL season, teaching them the right way to be a professional, talking to them about how to make their money last over the course of their career so they're not broke when it comes to retirement, telling them how to do the right thing on and off the field. So not a whole lot of stuff going on the field. Short practices, not too much of anything. We do get the schedule this week, which is exciting news. I'll be doing a video about that and talking about the things that I look for, what I look at the schedule for as far as primetime games, games that we have home in the early part of the season, places that we're going to have to travel to in the cold. All those have major implications on our season. If we got to go to Buffalo, Green Bay, and Baltimore in December, that's not a good look. You know what I mean? Have you seen Dougie's videos? Cap situation don't scare me as bad right now. And plus, Saints are now new trade partners potentially with Carr retiring. I haven't. When did Doug make a video about the cap? Good morning, Bonnie. I haven't overly checked out Doug's videos in the last few days, I don't think. You know, I've noticed that I've been watching less and less videos of people because I didn't, you know what I mean? If it was released this morning, I definitely didn't have an opportunity. I'm too busy working on my videos. Like that's why instead of 10 o'clock, it's usually 10:05 or 10:10 because I'm literally putting the final touches on like my thumbnail, sending it over, trying to think about what I'm going to talk about. Bonnie says she saw Doug's video this morning. So he talked about what the salary cap space was going to look like for this year, for next year. I hope teams come to Miami in September. We play in the cold. Listen, yeah, but you know they went away from that because teams were complaining, and that's what I had said a couple of videos ago that it was unfair that they took our home field advantage away from us. Yeah, we still got to go play Kansas City in the playoffs in minus 10-degree weather. You know what I mean? Bonnie said for next year. Well, shoot, man. I was going to do some salary cap stuff for the future, too. Mother effer. $7 million under the cap right now. $80 million if you trade Tyreek or Tua and Tyreek. See, Miller, I feel like, yeah, 80 million is great, but that's without a quarterback. That's without a star number one wide receiver. So a lot of that money's got to be allotted to those positions unless you're straight, unless you're finding the replacements in the draft, which is the best. That's the best way to go about it, right? I mean, yeah, Michael, I don't think 7 million sounds right at all. Browns got 5 quarterbacks on the roster: Watson, Flacco, Pickett, and the 2 rookies drafted. Saints trade partner. Yeah, I mean, they're likely to make a trade for him. I was in Kansas this weekend and it was damn cold. Imagine coming up here to New York, brother. Miller, I'm not going to keep going into the whole Waddle thing. I think Waddle's a good player, but he's not a Tyreek Hill. He's not a Justin Jefferson. He's not a CD Lamb, in my opinion. He's a very good player. But I don't see Jalen Waddle as the true number one. I think he's a great number 2. I do. But as a true number 1, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But what I do see on this team is I finally seen that this team, and this is why I feel like the future looks bright for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, if you read the thumbnail, it's why is the future bright for the Miami Dolphins? For once. For once, I feel like the future's bright just by this draft class. I think Chris Grier did a phenomenal job with this draft class this year. I really do. And I think if Chris Grier would have drafted this way for the last 10 years, I don't think we'd be in the position we are in right now. I don't think we'd be in the position that we're in right now. In the position we're in right now, I mean, we got a bunch of high-priced players that we brought in through free agency that have issues as far as their personalities are concerned, as far as them being diva type players. And I'm talking about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey. Those are huge contracts that are on our team that they wouldn't have to be here if Chris Greer would have drafted for the last 10 years like he drafted this year. This draft was a home run, in my opinion. How do you know if he has never been number one for Miami? I mean, Glenn, it's the eye test. It's the eye test. You know what I mean? It's not that Jalen Waddle hasn't had opportunities, and Jalen Waddle has played very good for us along the line. But I've never been like, wow, that kid is amazing. I've never said that about Jalen Waddle. I've never said that about Jalen Waddle. I've never. Out of all the opportunities that Jalen Waddle's gotten, I've never said that. He's never made that play, in my opinion, that I was just like, wow. And after 4 years or however long it's been, if you haven't seen that yet, I mean, and again, that's my opinion. You can have a different opinion, and that's cool, brother. That's cool. And you're right. Tyreek wasn't a number one when he first got the KC, but guess what? Tyreek was making those. Wow, did you see that play? Wow, did you see that play? To the point where finally he became a number one. I just don't feel like we've seen that from Jalen Waddle. Name a game that besides a Jets game where he had a huge game. Name a game that Jalen Waddle took over ever. Michael, it's not even that Waddle drops. He does drop passes, but I mean, lots of receivers drop passes. Tyreek Hill drops passes. Uh, he jumps. He jumps for damn near every throw. I just, it's my opinion, Glenn. It might not be right. I might not be. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm hoping that whenever Jalen Waddle gets the opportunity, he is the number one receiver in all of football. I hope that I am wrong. Yeah, Glenn, that's the game I said. The Jets game that Tyreek didn't play. That's the one game against a bad Jets team. If you can sit there and mark down the one time that someone did something phenomenal, how phenomenal are they? Someone phenomenal. Go back to Jamar Chase, who was drafted the same year as Waddle. How many? Name the games that he's been phenomenal. You can't. You can't name the game he's been phenomenal in because there's so many of them. There's so many of them. Again, I hope I'm wrong, and it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Glenn. I mean, is he a receiver that's better than other teams' top receivers? Yeah, but does that mean he's necessarily a number one? I don't know if that's the case. I think Jalen Waddle's a great number two, and I think that if we move on from Tyreek Hill, that eventually we're going to have to, now our next number one, I hope is a more big body wide receiver. Maybe a Julio Jones type, a Kelvin Johnson type, even a Jamar Chase type, a big physical, strong wide receiver. Because Jamar Chase he's not a huge guy, but he's physically strong. He's physically strong. And someone had mentioned Derek Carr retired. Shout out to Derek Carr. Uh, Derek Carr had a. I think Derek Carr was a really good talent. I really do. I think I think Derek Carr could sling it. I think he was just put in some real bad situations. He was put in some real bad situations. I don't think the Raiders ever gave him a really good team with really good coaching. You know what I mean? Derek Carr had one season where he was an MVP candidate. Um, is quite a few years ago. And I mean, the Raiders did do some things to try to get him some help. They brought Antonio Brown in, but he was a complete disaster, a complete disaster. But Derek Carr, you don't like to see these players leave the game due to injury. And I mean, could he have came back eventually? Yeah, but I mean, what was he going to come back to? By the time he did come back, he probably wasn't going to be a starter. Uh, but shout out to him. Another player that has been in this league a long time and making room for the rookies, making room for the young guys. Now, does that make that opens up the door for the New Orleans Saints to finally get out the listen, they've been in cap hell for a long, long time. Like they're the perfect example of selling your soul for a Super Bowl because since their Super Bowl win, what, 12 years ago, however many years ago, they've been in cap hell. And for the last 7, 8 years, they haven't been a very good team and been a cap hell. Like, how you over the salary cap and you're one of the worst teams in all of football? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But back to our Dolphins. Like I was saying, the reason I feel the future looks super bright for this Miami Dolphins team is because I think Chris Greer hit a home run with this draft. I really do. I think Chris Greer demolished it. He didn't reach. He could have he could have went out and, maybe Will Johnson has a phenomenal career. Maybe Will Johnson has a phenomenal career. And we are so strapped at corner right now. Could you blame Chris Greer for reaching for a corner? Could you have blamed Chris Greer if he would have drafted Jade Barron? Could you have blamed him? Dolphins fans, you got to steal the draft with Kenneth Graham. I'm telling you, he's going to be a franchise defensive tackle. He didn't have a ton of sacks because he was double teamed most of the games he played in. Yeah, Moose. Listen, you're absolutely right. And I think what Kenneth Grant does for this team isn't necessarily going to show up on the stat sheet year in and year out. But he is going to be such a huge difference maker for this defense. Man, you cannot single block Kenneth Grant. You can't single block this guy. If you go ahead, put one guy on him. I dare you to. I dare you to try to block Kenneth Grant with a single guard, a single center. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let me know how that works out for you. But could you have blamed Chris Greer for reaching for Will Johnson? Could you have blamed Chris Greer for drafting Jade Barron? You couldn't. You couldn't blame him for that because Jalen Ramsey's out the door. And who we got? Cam Smith, Storm Duck, Ethan Bonner, Cater Kohu. You couldn't have blamed him. But for once, Chris Greer did the right thing, and he said, "I don't care that we are so short at the corner position. I do not care. I'm going to build this team correctly for once, and I'm going to address the trenches of this football team. I'm going to address the trenches." because he sat there and he watched what the Philadelphia Eagles did with putting pressure and having Patrick Mahomes run for his life with while rushing only 4 players. He's seen what the Philadelphia Eagles did with one of the best offensive lines in football, how they were able to just run the ball at such a high standard that who was there to stop them? Good thing you're not a betting man. You'd be so broke. Who would be broke? I'm curious. Who do you think quarterback 1 and quarterback 2 with pending Ramsey trade? Cliff, why do you say that though? Stephen Ross, the only thing you can blame Stephen Ross for is not firing Chris Greer. Other than that, he's a fantastic owner. Other than that, Stephen Ross is a fantastic owner. He's willing to spend anything and everything to bring top talent here to Miami. We have the best facilities in all of football. I don't agree with you, Cliff. I don't agree with you. Most Michigan fans have Graham ahead of Grant, but I think Grant is better and will transition better. Cliff, what's wrong about it? Now state your facts. State your facts why Stephen Ross is such a terrible owner. I mean, that's a different subject, Raphael. The logo is a different subject. Miller says Jair Alexander better begin his flip flops packed. Miami is nicest time of year. Listen, I think that the Miami Dolphins, as far as the cornerback position goes this year, I think it's going to be. I think we're going to add a veteran. I think we're going to add one of the top free agents available. As far as like a Stephon Gilmore, I mean, I'm pretty sure Asante Samuel signed with the Vikings. Someone along those lines, and then don't be surprised if Eli Apple's not re-signed to this team. I hate to say it, but I wouldn't be surprised about that. I wouldn't be surprised if Eli Apple's re-signed, and then hopefully one of the rookies steps up. Hopefully the kid from Florida. Hopefully, even one of the undrafted free agents. Maybe one of those step up. Sackman 56. I listen, I'm not happy about Eli Apple neither, but you gotta realize it's a real possibility. When he came to Michigan, Grant was only a 3-star. Michigan turned him into a top 15 pick. The Michigan development. Cliff, I'm still waiting to hear why Stephen Ross is such a terrible owner. And I mean, who agrees with that? Do you guys agree that Stephen Ross is such a terrible owner? Ross has ruined a once proud franchise with pathetic hire after pathetic hire. All cheap novice GMs and head coaches that all failed. In 20 years, he hasn't won one playoff game. Listen, I mean, I don't remember the Miami Dolphins winning very much in the prior 20 years to Chris Greer or Stephen Ross buying the team. And it's not like, listen, it's not like Stephen Ross hasn't tried. He's tried to go after or Jim Harbaugh multiple times. He's tried to get Sean Payton. I mean, the guy literally got in trouble for trying to get Tom Brady and Sean Payton to come here. I'd rather bring Fuller instead of. Listen, I agree. I'd rather bring Fuller back too. If we bring Fuller back, he might be our number one now, which is crazy, right? Which is crazy. Every time we needed a coach and John Harbaugh was available or Jim Harbaugh was available, we didn't we didn't need a coach at the moment. No one gets credit for trying. Hey, listen, there's a lot of there's a lot of teams that don't win the Super Bowl on a year in, year out basis. Stephen Ross spends a lot of money for players. I mean, Steven, listen, the guy spends his money like he cares. You could have an owner that's not involved at all that doesn't care at all. I mean, I can understand being upset with Stephen Ross because of the Chris Greer situation, but as far as anything else, I mean, he does his part as an owner. He does his part as an owner. People always think that the grass is always greener on the other side. Who knows? The next owner might not be willing to go and sign all these free agent deals. They might not be willing to, oh, here's a big signing bonus. Here's to do all this stuff to manipulate the salary cap. The next owner might not be willing to do that. Obviously, you understand that the salary cap is manipulated, right? By turning things into signing bonuses and stuff like that. Cliff, you do realize that? You do realize that, right? I mean, again, I'm not gonna. This isn't a situation where I'm gonna change your mind, and I don't need to change your mind. Listen, you can feel the way you feel. You can fan the way you fan. If you don't like Stephen Ross, and you're hoping for a new owner, that's cool, bro. That's cool. There's differences opinions, and I'm cool with yours. You know what I mean? I'm not super happy with all the moves that he's made, but I think the guy does care, and I think he does try. I think he cares and he tries. It's cool. But again, I think the future looks bright for the Miami Dolphins. First and foremost, like I said, Chris Greer hit a home run with this draft. If you take a look at Kenneth Grant, I think he can be your big physical defensive tackle in the middle of this defense for the next 10 to 12 years. You're just jumping out the window now, Cliff. Worst owner in sports. Come on. Come on. Good morning, JD the Great. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me, please. We drafted 3 defensive tackles who I think all I'm very big on Jordan Phillips. I think this kid, he's only 20 years old. I think this kid can be an absolute monster. He has the he has that dog in him. He just wants to learn. He wants to constantly get better. He's so young. He's gifted. I think he can absolutely be a monster down him. And you pair him with a Kenneth Grant who's going to demand double teams on every play. He's going to demand double teams on every play. That means that Jordan Phillips is going to be able to eat, and he's going to be able to eat good. You know what I mean? Kenneth Grant is going to open up the door for everybody else to eat. He might not show up on the stat sheet with 12 sacks and with all these gaudy stats, but what he does for this team is going to be absolutely it's going to be so valuable. He's going to allow other people to go and make the tackle. He's going to allow other players to be able to rush the quarterback and sneak through holes that wouldn't previously be there. When one player when you got to account for one player with two, your offense is already at a disadvantage. The offense is already at a disadvantage. When you gotta put two players on one, you're already at a disadvantage. Kenneth Grant is going to make the linebackers' job easier. He's going to make the pass rusher's job easier. He's going to make the corner's job easier. He's there to make everybody else's job easier. And he's not going to get the stats. He's not going to get the accolades. But what he does for this team is just it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And then you got Jordan Phillips. You got Zeke Biggers. I think Trader at safety has the opportunity to be a really good young safety. We addressed the offensive line finally. We finally addressed the offensive line this offseason. With James Daniels and Jonah. We're moving in the right direction. As much as people are pounding the table for Grant, I think Phillips and his wrestling pedigree is really undersung. That's what helped Aaron Donald become Aaron Donald. That grip strength alone, laugh out loud. Miller, literally, people were kind of killing me about my comment that I made that I really think that between Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips, I'm not saying that Jordan Phillips is necessarily going to be better than Kenneth Grant, because what Kenneth Grant does, there's not too many human beings in the world that can do that. They can wrestle with two grown offensive linemen and hold his own. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Phillips is the one that is the all-pro. I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Phillips isn't the one that ends up with the 10, 12 sack seasons. Because I think the kid's an animal. I really do. I think the kid's an animal. We need to build depth for hurt players. Absolutely, K-Saul. Absolutely. And that's why I wasn't against us taking 3 defensive tackles in this year's draft. Each one does something a little different than the other. Yet they can all play that defensive tackle position. And those big boys get a little bit tired quicker than other positions. You know what I mean? You can you can bring them in and out. You know what I mean? You can keep a fresh guy in the fold at all times. Let's be honest. I think we need a tackle, but don't know how we get one unless it's June 1st and they're available. Are there any good? Listen, listen. We can't address every position in 1 year. I mean, you can't build a whole franchise in 1 year. It's just not realistic. You know what I mean? But if you look at the way we're going towards the future, if you look at the direction this team is headed, now do we? If Jordan Phillips can become a prime Grady Jarrett or even better, then we got something for real. He kind of reminds me of Grady. Yeah, I really haven't been able to put my finger on who he reminds me of, but I know that he reminds me of somebody. I'll have to really, I'll have to really sit down and think. But the kid is so young; he has so much potential. Listen, he's going to even get bigger and stronger. First off, he's a workout warrior. He's a workout warrior. But the kid doesn't even got his grown man strength yet. He's only 20 years old. I mean, wait till he gets to be 23, 24, and like you know what I mean? Like he get that grown man, that next levels, you know what I mean? He's still a baby. He's still a baby. He's still a baby. And then let's not forget with the addition of these young guys, and I feel like this draft could potentially have one, two, three, four. I feel like there's four players on this draft, and from this draft that can be really good players for this football team. I think there's two players on. Well, I think there's three players on this team that can be all pro players on this team from this draft. From this draft, I just saw Washington's success, and I don't see how we can't mimic it slightly if we get a tackle. We're going to be debating the Tua dilemma for years to come. I mean, that's the biggest thing is they went out and they got themselves a quarterback that can do it all. Now again, I'm on the record. Everybody knows how I feel about Tua. I like Tua, but Tua can't stay healthy. Can Tua do everything? Is Tua the same quarterback as the Washington kid? No, he's not. That Washington kid's gonna be special. He's gonna be special. 100%. I feel like he is gonna be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But that's the thing, we don't have our quarterback of the future. We don't have our quarterback of the future right now. That's something that we're going to have to get right because you can get every other position on the field right, but if you don't have a quarterback, I mean, Tua will have time to throw the ball this year. But that's the thing with Tua is that it doesn't even matter if Tua has time to throw the ball. We all know that Tua can put up stats. We all know Tua can complete passes. But that it only takes one hit for that guy and it doesn't even got to be that mind-blowing, crushing hit that puts him out for 6-7 games. And that's why he can't be our franchise quarterback. We can't rely on someone that's not reliable. And it sucks. It does suck. I feel it for him. I feel for this team. It sucks. It sucks. Why did it have to happen to Tua? Why? I wish it was different. I wish things could be different. I wish Tua didn't have all these injury concerns. But not only do we got the head injury to worry about, now we got the hip to worry about too. I mean, when we as a fan base, when it's 4th and 3 and we'd rather or 3rd and 3 and we'd rather, you know, have him go down and or run out of bounds and punt the ball away than for him to run the 3 yards and take a hit. When we're in that position, that's a terrible position to be in. Have I already given up on Tua? Glenn, I just feel like how can you compete year in and year out when you can't rely on him? You got you gotta put aside a lot of money for uh another starting caliber quarterback on your team to make sure if Tua goes down, we can still win games. And Glenn, it has nothing to do with how good a player Tua is. Because if Tua was healthy, I wouldn't be talking about moving on from Tua. If Tua could stay healthy consistently, I wouldn't be talking about moving on from Tua. I would be talking about building around Tua. And that makes some people unhappy because some people just don't think Tua is good enough to win. How many teams have two starting quarterbacks? Not very many. But not very many teams have a starting quarterback that can be out for six weeks because they they fell on the ground wrong. Glenn, you don't feel that way. You don't feel like we can't. You know what I mean? You don't feel that it's unacceptable to his availability. Again, I think personally myself, I think with the right team, you can win a championship with Tua Tagovailoa. I do. With the right team. But can you continue to build a team around a quarterback that you cannot rely on consistently to start 17 games? Not even 17. If you would tell me that Tua consistently could start 15 games a year, I'd still be on board with it. But when Tua gets hurt, Tua's not out for 2 games. Tua goes on the injured reserve because the Miami Dolphins got to save face when it comes to the public because he is the poster boy for concussions. Well, that's not necessarily true. He's only been healthy 1 year of his career. And Glenn, I'm going to cheer listen. I'm going to cheer the shit out of him, and I'm going to hope and pray that he stays healthy this year. I'm not wishing for the man's downfall. Michael, yeah, if Josh Allen gets hurt, they're going to be done. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Buffalo Bills will be cooked if Josh Allen gets hurt. Absolutely. But Josh Allen doesn't get hurt like that. Josh Allen can take a licking and keep on ticking. You know what I mean? I'm gonna choose. I like Tua. I do. Tua is my quarterback. I like Tua. And I wish Tua could stay healthy. But when I look at this team's future, I don't include Tua because of the injuries. I think it's hard to, again, can you consider building something when with someone that can't consistently stay healthy? All right, so let's say we got young players on this team that you can build around. Kenneth Grant, right? Jordan Phillips, Chop Robinson. What is the kid's name from Florida? Jason Marshall Jr. I hope turns into a decent quarterback or corner. Dante Trader Jr. I think is going to be a pretty good safety. I think he's going to be. Do I think he could be an all pro safety? I don't know about that, but I think he's going to be a solid starter. Jonah Salvania, I think he can be our all pro guard for the next 10 to 12 years. I think Ali Gordon II can become the starting running back for this team. Devon Achane is a weapon. On this team. You got Waddle that is still pretty young on this team. That's a weapon. Glenn, yeah, they don't because Tua's the poster boy. Tua is the poster boy, and Tua has to be sat out and put on the injury reserve every time. That concussion that Tua suffered last year against Buffalo, he had no symptoms the next week. Had no symptoms. Went to Disney on Ice with Raheem Mostert, traveled with the team, but they still put him on injury reserve because the backlash from the media. If they don't put him on injury reserve and he gets hurt again, oh my God, that'll be a PR nightmare. We got to put him on injury reserve. Tua Tagovailoa has fumbled the ball 36 times in the NFL career with the Miami Dolphins. That includes 6 fumbles in 2022, 9 in 2021, and 1 in 2020. His fumble rate is 0.56 fumbles per game played. Cap, how many of those have been? He does have an issue, Cap. I'm not. How many of those were bad snaps, though? Because the Miami Dolphins have had an issue snapping the ball. And I know he's the blame for some of them. I'm not gonna try to act like he's not at fault for some of those fumbles. He absolutely is. But were some of those because of bad snaps? Well, you only played 1 year with Flores too, Cap, and we had a different center too. We didn't start getting bad snaps until the next year when we signed Connor Williams, because Connor Williams wasn't really a real center. He was a guard that we turned into a center. Sackman 56. I was also gonna Armstrong, Andrew Armstrong. I like him a lot. I think he can become a player on this team. Theo Wease is another young receiver I like a lot. Kamal, y'all got a damn good safety. If he is a ball hawk, I hate my Lions. Let him go. Yeah, Kamal, I appreciate that. Hopefully he can stay healthy, because that was the major thing with him in Detroit. He just gonna stay on the field. One thing I've heard about these safeties is that they're huge. That they're huge. Ashton Davis is like a Greek god, they said. That Chris Perkins was super surprised how big Ashton Davis was. And someone had said to him, well, if you think Ashton's big, wait till you see Iffy. Wait till you see Iffy. He was like, damn, Iffy's even bigger. And they're like, yeah. They're like, yeah. So again, we got some young talent on this team. We went from being one of the oldest teams in the league to one of the younger teams in the league. And that's a start. That's a start right there. That's a start. And then, I think you just try to continue the draft best player available at positions of needs. We go in the next year. What's going to be our major needs next year? I mean, I know it's hard to predict this far out, but right now it looks like we're pretty good at pass rusher. I think we need to add more along the offensive line. I think you consistently want to draft an offensive lineman in the top 3 picks. And one of your picks in every draft in the top 3 rounds, I think, should be an offensive lineman. I do. I think our biggest need next year, depending on what happens with Tua, but our biggest need next year is going to be either a cornerback or an offensive tackle. A cornerback or an offensive tackle. Now, I think Patrick Paul, I want to put Patrick Paul in that building spot too. I think Patrick Paul is going to be a good young player. He's just got that he's got the work ethic. He likes to work. I'm honestly surprised Tannehill hasn't been signed as a backup. You can't tell me that he couldn't come in and take over quarterback 2 here. If you think Ross is a good owner, then just admit performance doesn't matter to you. What performance? Performance of what? The team? Make sure you hit that like button for me, though. Please and thank you. I think Patrick Paul, do I think he's going to be an all-pro left tackle? I don't know about that. But I think he's going to be a solid starting left tackle in this league. I mean, the Miami Dolphins would have won a playoff game if it wasn't for injuries, but I feel you. Again, I'm not trying to talk you out of your feeling anymore, Cliff. Like, I'm not trying to talk you out of it. But you're not gonna talk me into saying that he's a bad owner because the teams that he has spent money on consistently get hurt down the stretch and they haven't been able to win a playoff game. Stackman 56 says, I don't believe in Tua. If Drew Allard looks anything like Josh Allen this year, I want him. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay, Clip. I mean, that's kind of an oxymoron, Cliff. He's a loser. The man is a billionaire. If being a billionaire, you're a loser, I'll be a loser all day, baby. Kamal, it's a very touchy subject. As far as Hill goes, Hill is the most exciting player that the Miami Dolphins have had in the last 20 years. He's probably the most exciting player that I've ever experienced in Miami Dolphins football history. Now, by time, I mean, you had Dan in the early 80s, which was in the mid 80s, the late 80s, who was absolutely phenomenal. But I was so young then when Dan was, breaking records as far as single season records, that it's hard for me to remember those games clearly. And then, of course, we had Ricky Williams, who was absolutely phenomenal, that I loved. But Tyreek Hill has brought a certain joy to me that, we've had a lot of bad teams here in Miami. And, being a fan of the Detroit Lions, how, you know, when you got a bad team, you latch on to the pieces that can give you some enjoyment. I'm sure there was, the years that you were bad, you latched on to Calvin Johnson, or, you know, even when Barry was there. I mean, Dan is my all-time favorite quarterback. Come on, Barry Sanders, my all-time favorite running back. Too bad those two couldn't have got together in their prime. Uh but Tyreek, I don't agree with the thing he does off the field. You know what I mean? I think I but at the same time, sometimes enough is enough. I don't want to see us trade Tyreek. I don't want to see us trade Tyreek. But I wish he would just shut up. And I don't think a player should necessarily be punished for the stuff they do off the field. As long as you show up on Sundays and play the game and play at a high level, that's what I really care about. As long as you're not doing the most, you know what I mean? If you're not raping women, beating kids, uh, doing that type of thing, if it was that type of stuff, absolutely goodbye. You got to go. But the little BS he's doing right now, I don't know if it's enough to get rid of him. Oh, Dan is my all-time favorite player. My all-time favorite athlete in any sport. That's awesome, Miller. Yeah, Barry Sanders was there's no player ever like Barry Sanders. There's no player ever like Barry Sanders. No one runs the ball like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was a phenomenal player. So we keep getting off topic a little bit. So you got a good decent amount of young players, and then you got to keep drafting. You got to keep drafting. You got to keep drafting. Next year, I think we look for a corner, more offensive line help, and then at some point you got to address the quarterback position. Do you move on from Tua? Do you give Tua another year? What's the coaching staff going to look like? What's general manager staff going to look like? But I think since we have started addressing the trenches on this football team, we are headed in the right direction. We are headed in the right direction. Patrick Paul, second round pick. Jonah, second round pick. The defensive line, we got Kenneth Grant, first round pick. Phillips, he was a fifth round pick, but listen, this kid's better than a fifth round pick or a fourth round pick, whatever round he went in. He's better than that. And then, you use free agency to plug holes. You use free agency to plug holes. So let's take a look at what our cap space can look like here in the next year or so. So right now we're sitting at 13 million in cap space. We're sitting at 13 million in cap space this year. Obviously, we're gonna trade Jalen Ramsey after the first. Submit that. What's that do for us? That can't be right. Wow. Trade post submit. That takes us to $23.7 million available this year. It increases us the 8 for next year. Look at 2027. That's $130 million. 130 million it says we'll have available. So right here, $23 million to make roster moves for this season. So, I mean, obviously we're going to make a couple other moves, but let's move to next year. Let's do next year, 2026. Let's say let's shoot. Cancel. Let's see if we trade Tyreek pre 6-1, let's see what it does. That takes us up to 45 million. 45 million if we trade him before 6-1. If we release him, pre 6-1, we get the same kind of savings. Takes us up to 45 million. If you trade him post 6-1, takes us up to 47. Cut post 6-1, 47. So let's say we cut pre 6-1, submit. That takes us to $45 million with Tua gone, with Tyreek gone, with Jalen Ramsey gone. These guys ain't got. Armstead still not off this yet. Let's see. You caught Bradley Chubb. That'd be 23 million in dead. You don't want to do that. Let's see if we were the cut post 6-1. You caught Bradley Chubb after 6-1 next year. That saves you another $20 million. But 10 dead. That saves you another $20 million. So don't be surprised if Bradley Chubb could be a cut candidate. Let's take a look at Tua. Let's say we trade him pre 6-1. Let's say someone wants to trade for him. That would take us up to $96 million. We would have a $25 million cap hit. Let's see if we traded him after. Look at that. If we could somehow trade him after June 1st next year, we'd only suffer a $8 million cap hit. That would take us to $113 million. That's with the loss of Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, and Bradley Chubb. We'd have $113 million in cap space. And if you look at 2027, we'd have $197 million. $197 million. So yeah, I mean, you can Let me find my camera. Listen, you move on from Tyreek, Bradley Chubb, and that'll leave you with what, 60 some million just moving on from them two. So let's say you got Tua, you keep Tua next year, you still would have 65 million plus. That's just off two moves. You can make other roster moves, re-sign players, do this, do that. Plenty of cap space to make moves. You continue the draft well, and this team's headed in the right direction. The future looks bright. Now, again, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do at quarterback. This franchise, the fan base is so torn between Tua. It's not even funny. I've never seen anything like it in any sport where so many people straight hate a player and so many people straight love a player. I've never seen it. So, this team's got a lot of potential, guys. If we can continue to build through the draft, and that's the way you gotta. That's look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the. I keep saying it. The Philadelphia Eagles are the perfect blueprint for how to build a successful championship team. You build along the trenches and you build through the draft. And just because you got an all-pro at left guard doesn't mean you stop drafting guards. No, you draft a guard every year. You draft defensive line. You draft the trenches every year, whether needed or not. So when it's time for someone to come up for a contract that wants $35 million, you can say, "Hey, listen, we love you. We love your time here, but listen, we got a guy ready to go that is just about as good as you already on the team." My mic's cracking again. Hello? Hello, hello. Is it better or is it messed up still? It's back. It's better. Hello, 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 hello. Oh man. What about now? We good? My fault, guys. Yeah, I don't know if I can get some new cables or whatnot. Order some new cables. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's pissing me off. Oh God. But yeah, man, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. I'll get this figured out one way or another. I ordered another Focusrite box. It came. Obviously, I gotta get some new cables. Pain in my butt, I'll tell you. But yeah, I think the future looks bright for the Miami Dolphins. We're gonna have plenty of cap space, but I don't want to see us go out and get. I want to just see us continuously build through the draft. I want to see us continuously build through the draft. Miller, yeah, we can have a round table. We you know what I mean? You're always welcome to join the show. We can do a round table tomorrow morning. Is there anybody interested who would like to come on and talk? Anybody that'd be interested in coming on the show tomorrow and talking? Do a little round table? We can do it tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Well, 10:05. You know I'd be late. You know I'd be late. I just want to have more than one or two people. You know what I mean? Like, is there a good amount of people that'd like to do this? Do one later in the day. Let me know you. Let me let you know tomorrow. Okay, I'll try to get something figured out, and I'll let you know a day that we can do it later this week. Maybe we can go Friday night or something. Maybe we can go Friday night or something. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Um, but yeah, the Miami Dolphins future looks bright. I think that this Miami Dolphins team, and I'm not giving up on this season. I'm not giving up on this season because I feel like this season we can compete. If I don't know if we can compete for a Super Bowl, but we can compete for to get that playoff win this year. If we can figure out how to get our hands on a couple decent corners. And I don't think the corners got to be I don't think they got to be great because I think with the way this defense is looking up front and with the pass rushers we have, that pass rush is going to help. That's going to help our corners and our safeties in coverage because I think we're going to be able to get after the quarterback this year. If Jalen Phillips can come back, if Bradley Chubb looks anything like he did before the injury, if Chop Robinson takes another step forward, along with Zach Sealer, Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, I think we can have a stout defense this year. But we need a couple corners, whether that's calling Xavier Howard, trading for Jair Alexander, bringing in a Gilmore or a Samuel or whoever. If we can make those adjustments and sign a couple of free agent corners, I think we can have a pretty good year this year. But the future's looking bright, and that's all you can ask for at this point. I'm still hoping that we can move on from Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, unless Chris Greer can continue to have drafts like he did this year, you know. But yeah, that's how I feel about this team. Yeah, we can do something like that, Von Joe. I'll probably say Friday we can do it. We'll probably do a Friday. I don't want to cut in on other people's shows. So let me know a time where there ain't other shows going on and we can make it happen that day and that time. Quarterback runs and tight edge coverage killed us. We need to fix that. Yeah, I think we're gonna get better at it this year. I think we are. Maybe not, Glenn. I mean, and maybe they do a phenomenal job. You know, sometimes, you know, maybe they can turn it around. Maybe they can turn it around. I don't have a lot of faith in that, but maybe they can. But all right, folks, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that like button for me, please, 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 please. Make sure you subscribe if you're not. We'll get a live panel going this week. And I love and appreciate you all. Sorry about the audio situation. But until tomorrow, y'all know what it is. Fins up for life, forever, for always, 100. I love you all. Thank you all. And till tomorrow. Peace.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill no discretion. Your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they see me. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try to change, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place. I wanna be first, work till it hurts. Dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life. Better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm